Can you hear that? She can't hear me, guys. Okay. Hi, whichever sister that was. Okay, so we'll kind of wait for Megan. She was supposed to come back, but now they still have to wait and come back on Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday, one of those 2 days. We thought she was coming back, so I was really excited. I didn't have to Zoom anymore. Didn't. Oh, I hear Megan. Can Megan hear me?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So, let's get that away. Okay. So we're talking about Newton's third law again today. And Newton's third law, Anna told us, says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction force. So we were trying to put things last Friday in terms of like what's the action and what's the reaction. So I drew some really ridiculous pictures and you know, I should record this.
Yeah.
Okay, it's already recording and that's weird. I didn't hit it, but this way Zayden can watch and Maddie. Drew some really weird pictures and we tried to pick what the action was and what was the reaction force. So us walking, what is the action there? If we're walking, what's the actual action? Josie? Us pushing on the ground, what's the reaction? Jack? The ground pushing back on our foot or on us. Okay, a lot of times we don't necessarily see or feel that force, but it happens. It might just come in the form of like a resistance as you're trying to move, like through the pool, or if you try running into a door, there's some resistance there. And that's what you would feel rather than maybe being pushed back yourself. Newton's third law also ties in with momentum. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about a little bit today. And then we'll do some examples that you guys can see. Momentum is a measure of how hard it is to stop an object. Momentum and inertia are similar because inertia, you can see that like jerking forward when you're trying to stop. You see that like, yeah, you feel it jerking forward motion, like if your parents have to slam on the brakes in the car. Inertia makes you want to keep going. Momentum is like how easy it would be for you to stop moving forward. So is it going to be easier for you to stop or for a box of Kleenexes to stop? Like if your parents slam on the brakes and let's say neither of you are wearing a seatbelt. I don't know why your Kleenexes would wear one anyway, but you're not wearing your seatbelt and the box of Kleenexes is sitting next to you on the seat and you both start moving forward. Which one would be easier to stop? Axton. Okay, who agrees with Axton? Yes. Let's do it that way. Who says the you would be easier to stop? What about who says the Kleenexes would be easiest to stop? Okay, the Kleenexes would actually be easier to stop because the more mass something has, the harder it is to stop. So think about you're at the bottom of a hill and there is a bike and a car at the top of the hill. they both, for whatever reason, start rolling down the hill. Like it's not, the car is not in park. The person doesn't have the like kickstand down on the bike. They both start rolling down the hill. Which one are you going to try to stop on your own? Aaron? The bike. Why? It's a lot smaller and it's probably not going to hurt you as much if it does like run into you. The car, however, has way more mass and it's going to take a lot more to stop it, much more than just you pushing on it. You might help slow it down, but you probably will not stop it just on your own, especially if it's like the hill over here by the church and the school. By the time it gets to the bottom, it's going to be going pretty fast. So the car that parks at the bottom across the street would probably be what stopped the car. Not you. It would be that other car, and it would be all crashed up and crinkled. Bless you. So momentum helps to keep things moving, but it also like describes how hard it is to stop something. So we just went bowling a couple weeks ago. You guys all use different bowling balls. What's the difference between the bowling balls that you used? Axton? They had different mass. They were different weights, and so they had different materials. Some of them have like cork inside of them to make them lighter, but they had different masses. So like you could get a like 6-pound bowling ball, you could get up to a 14-pound bowling ball. And those are, the reason they have lighter ones is for kids. Kids can't carry a very heavy bowling ball. But at a certain point, you're going to want to graduate from the really light balls and work towards the heavier balls, because the ones with more mass are harder to stop. So if you're trying to roll it down the lane, which one's going to make it farther, faster? The lighter one or the heavier one? The heavier one. It's going to go, and it's going to be harder to stop. So it's going to like push through those pins at the bottom of the end of the lane, whereas a lighter ball might hit one and it might cause it to like ricochet off and you don't knock over as many pins. And it helps it go in a straight line. Like Olivia asked me why I was such a good bowler. I'm not really. But I said it helps when you use a heavier ball. It helps it go straighter. It's kind of crazy. If let's see here, who haven't I used? Jack. If Jack is running a race and Jackie's standing at the finish line, you know those races where you're riding as people and someone else holds their hands up, and then like whoever hits their hand first is the winner. Jack is running against Levi in kindergarten. You guys know who Levi is in kindergarten? Okay, perfect. Okay, so he's running against Levi, and they're both running and they're not really paying attention, and they come up to Jackie and hit her hand. Who's gonna be more likely to move Jackie as they hit her hand, Levi or Jack? Mackie? Jack, he's got more mass because he's bigger. He's gonna have more momentum. It's gonna be harder for him to stop. And even after the race, it's gonna take him longer to kind of like slow down and stop than it will for Levi, just because he has less mass and less momentum. If we were playing like human bowling, you would want to choose somebody who was bigger to try and knock people over versus someone who is smaller. Not that we should be like knocking each other down, but they have those games where you can like wear the little like bubble suits and you like try knocking each other down, like human bowling. Let's see, anything else with momentum? So yeah, the bigger an object, the harder it is to stop. The faster an object is it's going, the harder it is to stop too. So if we had a piece of paper that I crinkled up into a ball and I threw it across the room, probably not going to hurt anybody. If I took that and put it into one of those t-shirt cannons, or like the ones that they put hot dogs in to fling them across the stadium and launch it at somebody, it might hurt when it hits you. Like, because it's going faster, it's going to have more momentum. It's going to be harder to stop. Same thing when they use those little cannons at ball games to shoot hot dogs or t-shirts. They put a lot of force behind that. And so they're moving pretty fast. And if they were to hit you, it's going to hurt a lot more than if somebody stands 5 feet from you and tosses a hamburger or a hot dog or a t-shirt at you. So, yeah, the faster something's going, the more momentum it has, the harder it is to stop. The bigger it is, same thing, the harder it is to stop. This lesson also talked about the law of conservation of momentum, which means that the total momentum of a group of objects stays the same unless outside forces act on an object. So if you have, and they use the example of playing pool, at the beginning, you set all of the balls up into that triangle, and as a group, those balls have a lot more momentum than on their own. So when you like hit the white ball towards it, all the balls don't necessarily like go off crazy, because momentum is like how hard it is to stop something, but it also goes back to how, like, if it's hard to stop, it's probably going to be hard to like move in the beginning. So as a whole, those that triangle of pool balls are harder to move. They have more momentum than one individual ball. A bike is going to be easier to move on its own than a car, because the car has more momentum. A car loaded with your family is going to be even harder to move. So if you get stuck and you need to push it, you probably want everyone to get out of the car. One, they can help push. Two, it's going to be lighter and easier for you to push. So yeah, momentum's really important when it comes to like being safe on the road too. And like when they study car crashes. So if you are ever in a car accident, police will come and they'll measure like certain things, and they can tell by, because they can see marks on the road, possibly where you started braking or where you hit something, where your car ended up. They can take measurements and figure out how fast you were going when you hit something, like whatever. So like if you hit another car, if you hit one of the light poles or something, they can measure how fast you're going, usually based off of like tire tracks or the point of impact compared to where you stopped. They can put all that into fancy formulas and figure out how fast you were going, based on like the size of your car and stuff like that too. So it does come in handy for like other things. Any questions about momentum? Okay, you guys, you guys probably already knew, like if a car was coming at you, you wouldn't want to be in the way because it's going to run you over. It's going to be hard to stop. Like you already probably understood momentum pretty well on your